When I think of just how criminal some of these humans are, and how do you begin market makers, and how do these criminals organize themselves, I'm thinking to myself, there's this word. When I was younger, I went skiing a few times. I did not go on the moguls. I was afraid of knee injury. But the moguls, I saw the section, had these hills and valleys, enough that the word cognitively makes sense in this version of American English. And then they have referenced at some point music moguls. Again, I don't really follow the trends necessarily. I try to stay out of it because I do not want to get wrapped up in any of their game. So I'm now sitting here and I'm watching this show it's called The New Frontier that I had taped. It's about solar flares. I mean, it's a way to describe a partial energy crisis in a way that I guess will miss most of the public. Like, it'll go straight over the head. Because I even hear, like, the people that were taught it, they say things like, no, the atmosphere, it absorbs the whatever, and like whatever words they use them to regurgitate and spread a message. And I'm like, right, yeah, no, it's not, but all right. So then I'm watching, and it goes to commercial, and what really frightens me is it has this Morgan silver dollar, and it reads, National Collectors Mint Inc. Then it uses a town somewhere in the state of New York that goes by postal, like zip code of 10577. But the word is Purchase, New York. So that frightens me, because I'm like in the big stupid game of like Monopoly pieces. Like, that's red flags for me. It also shows two flags of outside country purchasing U.S. mint coins, but I don't know what this national collect. I mean, is this like an NSA like valued coin purchase allowed? I mean, how is that being checked? So it says not affiliated, licensed, or endorsed by the U.S. and then GOV apostrophe T or the U.S. Mint. So now how is it regulated? How is it in operation? I mean, like, and it says offer not valid in MN, whatever that means. And it has the profile with the nose. And I'm just like, I. Like, where do these funds actually go? What are they funding? Are they funding a relief effort at search and rescue for endangered RH negative pieces stuck in the field like myself to help us get out of harm's way? Or are they just funding some new hope that looks like homegrown terrorism just being transplanted into some other areas? I mean, it gets really difficult from the middle of nowhere, having been left out of everything the humans have been up to, and nobody to like ask these questions to in like a grand supreme kind of a way. So this is what the commercial actually looks like. And then I go back to the beginning of the commercial.
is important and all sought after. 800-532-5336. Just located. Original U.S. government Morgan silver dollars. The most sought after coins in American history. Bulletin, 9:45 a.m. New York. National Collectors Mint releases 2,988 of the last surviving United States minted Morgans.
It says coins are uncirculated. Again, like, where do you report this stuff to? Where do you ask this stuff to? Like, why is there no handhold or over 6 foot to look up to like ask, like, is this legitimate? Like, are these the things we're supposed to be looking out for and reporting? Like, where do you report it to? Like, does anybody have a directory on things I stumble across? I mean, this gets to be like, I concentrated it on a YouTube channel, but I don't know if anybody's even watching it.
Silver dollars still in existence. Each coin is 101 to 144 years old, but condition is important, and all the U.S. government Morgan silver dollars in this release are guaranteed to be in brilliant uncirculated to fine condition. 320 million Morgan silver dollars were melted by the U.S. government for both world wars. Millions more were melted by silver profiteers again and again as silver prices soared. Each contains over 3/4 of an ounce of pure silver. When silver first hit $50 an ounce, China and India were...
Now, I mean, these are outside, I mean, like, they're world partners, but a world outside of the world I'm in at the moment, and nobody has explained how their world might affect my world, or might hurt my world, or if they like us, if they hate us. Like, I mean, nobody's explaining that level of humanity within my life frame. So when it comes on the TV that it's all the way over there, it gets a little, like, concerning and like, how does one protect oneself or check with a local partner to see if these are acceptable? And like, why would they be like selling silver coins in our area if they're 3/4 of the way around the world?
Now, China is rich, and India's demand for silver coins and bars has increased over 500% in the last 10 years. Will this...
And then, like, is this a real narrative? Is this a suggestion narrative? Is this the way that they want it to be painted? Because I got a lot going on in New York, and there's a lot of competing faces and microphones trying to paint themselves as the most important, the most on the field, and the most whatever. They've just got the loudest everything. And they weren't here when I was little. So this gets confusing. And then now I've got outside, beyond this world, that's making claims, but I don't know how to verify them or vet them if that's true. Is that just like a hopeful, like, I mean, are they taking aim with darts at like a target zone? Like, it really falls in a gray area for me. Like, how does one interpret this message without a trained professional who knows things?
This drive the price to double back to $50 or even higher? Overall purchases of silver coins and bars are up more than 800%, but you can still get the same quality Morgans for our low TV.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, in the area, I've heard, like, even drug addicts, like, does heroin, does cocaine, does whatever the other words are that the street kids do, even they, in their lowest of lowest moments, when they go through something called a rehab and they want to get help, even they get once a week sponsor with somebody who has their stuff together. Like, why was that? Like, I mean, why can't I have, I mean, like, I spot things, I see things. Why is it I don't get like a person who's got it together kind of a thing to lean on and go, Hey, again, I won't bother you all week long, but like once a week, maybe, like, I don't know.
Price, just $39 each. This price can only be guaranteed for the next 7 days. This is $25 to $60 less than several national retailers charge for a similar Morgan Silver dollar. These original United States minted Morgan Silver dollars are heavy with .900 pure silver and rich in historic value. These last remaining survivors can be yours for just $39 each. Strict limit of 5 coins per caller. National Collectors Mint protects your purchase price with our silver dollar money back guarantee. But you must act soon to own an authentic Morgan Silver dollar at this price. Orders accepted on a first-come, first-served basis. Don't miss out. Call now.
To order, call 1-800-705-9158. That's 1-800-705-9158. Strict limit of 5 coins per caller. Call 1-800-705...
Now, what's interesting is this commercial is right in the middle of this New Frontier TV show. Let's see. That's what it's called. Let me get the details on it. It's referenced as The Sun. It has a United States flag on it. I recorded it on 5/22/2022 at 9:32 a.m. It says, "The sun powers the machinery of nature, our weather, and encourages and sustains life." Now, again, as a teaching tool, but it goes into this like gray area of what's going on with the message in the center. I mean, is this like an agreed upon way to speak of the sun, coronal masses, the gases shifting? Because, like, I mean, again, I use the word iris, and like there's a flash of a photo that looks like an optic nerve. Like black hole, like an optic nerve, and like a retinal scan in like I know life sciences through the body, and then I look to the kinesthetic energy source outside and how it interacts. So it's a whole another field of like whatever. But I'm watching the photos and I'm like, now that's interesting, because going back to radio waves and the gamma field, they do mention it. I noticed sometimes in my own vision, there's like these like pixelated spots, and like the particles almost move really erratically. I mean, I call them radical particles, because there's not this like, it's almost like they're missing their main magneticism because they're tuned into some kind of hertz or frequency. And then the body moves through that, and then it becomes this like short circuit of being able to mechanically motor in the proper way. And again, not sure if that's tied into an outside source vehicle being something they call, or vector that they call automobile, and the fumes that it emits, with also the UV rays and how that heats up, and then the other sciences that I'm unclear of how to speak of in English at the moment. Now, here's my question. I know in theoretics and then practicals, there's whatever. There's super smart people everywhere, lots of nouns, don't want to get their nouns wrong. I just don't know their nouns because they don't pronounce them on the whatever. But the thing is that I'm watching, and they have this L1. They have this way of explaining it. It's L1, they call it Soho. L1 to something to wind, and then it's the Soho. Now, again, really fancy abstract way of speaking of something. If somebody's whatever was able to get their scientists to agree in a language to bring forth this way of explaining it for whatever purpose, in the human realm of things. But I'm just watching it and I'm looking for clues of who it might be attached to.
To
study the solar
Oh, of course it uses the word ACE.
wind phenomenon, a group of satellites were placed in a unique orbit between Earth and the Sun at what is called L1, or Lagrange point 1, a point of gravitational balance between the Earth and the Sun.
Now, in the schools that I went to, and in the schools that my children went to, I can't speak of the older three because I can't cross-reference with them, but with the younger one for certain, they don't reference this. This is not even like on an agenda item, so there's something wrong, because I saw today philanthropists on 60 Minutes were investing in a place in Chicago called something called Hope, and they're planning for generations of them in well into the future to know things, to go to college, they're like super like condensing money, resources, assets into growing this whatever. But yet my son, especially the youngest one, and myself, were there no white philanthropists anywhere in the world when we arrived? I mean, are they gone completely?
Advanced Composition Explorer, or ACE, observes energetic solar particles. WIND studies radio waves and plasma that occur in the solar wind and in the Earth's magnetosphere, and SOHO, the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory.
Using SOHO and using a technique called helioseismology, very similar to seismology on the Earth, we were actually able to see inside the sun. And so what we were able to do is...
Now, by physiology and study of life sciences, can only imagine the piercing whatever of possibility in the wide world of I'm just quirky and charming. Let's just go with that at the moment. What frightens me is I am not quite sure who's in charge of land safety in this area for my specific genetic makeup, because I have a very specific gaseous region in the frontal portion of the ocular whatever, which I'm not putting on the new whatevers that they gave out, or whatever they were selling, but it has a very unique signature to it. And I know that it tells a story with the gas in the eye and how it shapes and morphs based on the kinesthetic radio wave whatever on the outside. Sometimes there's something called a floater in the back of the eye. Nobody seems to have any answers as to what that's about. Geospatially, on a like magtrometer type of interaction between an advanced biological race and the outer sphere and trying to keep balance. I believe it's when there's a great disturbance within the force just outside of the body. And it's the body's automatic calculations trying to recover from this advanced wave that's trying to throw the motor function and proprioception off balance.
See the layer of the sun just below the visible surface that we call the convection zone. And that's where all sorts of dynamics are going on inside of the sun.
Now, convection zone, that's really interesting. You should bring that up because I've mentioned it before. And the convection being with blood clots, DVTs, and so on and so forth. I know that they have this radiothropic pulse machine where they break up clots and so on and so forth. But there's like, they say that there's iron in the blood. They call it iron, what it really is, but it can be affected by magnets and by change in the magnet, whatever, just outside the body. So if that's what's causing all sorts of clots, DVTs, and that sort of thing, or strokes. That's really frightening. That because I can feel it and I can see it going on. I could see myself deteriorating with almost like a septic whatever, and I don't know how to avoid it because the doctors here are participating in making things worse just so they have something to do to then make people recover and they're better. And I see the stories all over how proud of themselves they are. I don't want to participate in that manner. I would just like to get to a level of doctor that knows what's going on in my area and just give them a list, check the boxes, and have them safely heal me. I really don't have to go through the bread and circus that the rest of the humans are participating in and acting like this is normal.
Sun is bubbling up to the surface, and that's really where all of the solar phenomena that we see is first developed. And so we were able to see underneath the surface and see these flows of solar plasma, see the formation of sunspots, and this is something that's never been done before.
These are what the floaters look like on a retinal scan from the back, or these like black spots. But then when I look through my lens and my iris, I can actually, and I've done it before, where I laid down, and I did it on camera, where I used the slats on my bed as a graph paper almost to orient myself from whatever, to try to figure out what was going on with the inner balance.
You're able to see the details inside of a star.
Another high-resolution space telescope was TRACE.
Explaining from inside the star how it's interacting with the outer kinesthetics. Uniquely enough is what I've been doing. What I don't know is who actually cares at that level of stuff and like who I should speak to about it.
You're seeing details of the coronal loops. In the previous images you would from other satellites, it would look like it was just one big loop. And when you actually get to see TRACE, you can see it's all these teeny tiny, finely, they almost look like threads. And there's these teeny tiny loops, and they're just breaking.
So, X-ray and gamma-ray solar flare imaging, RISI explores the particle physics behind solar flares. Another event subjecting the solar system to bombardment is the CME, or coronal mass ejection event.
A coronal mass ejection, or CME, is an eruption of plasma from the sun that shoots out into space, and it could affect us here at Earth if that big ball of plasma were to hit us.
Now, what's interesting is they use the word RISI. In the actual animal, they use rhesus for rhea, RHEA, and RH component of antigens as trace markers on our cellular whatever when studying anatomy and physiology, or at least in the whatever I was allowed to participate in at the local community college level. Not that they taught about interactions within like atmospheric space. They didn't teach anything about earth sciences. They only taught about life sciences. But for me, it's always the balance between my life science and the earth science and what I'm currently experiencing, because at the moment it's not in a healthy, balanced state. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies, broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. I find this interesting as well, this symbol that he's got here. I'm not sure what that symbol is tied to or tethered to. Again, they don't have like a symbology class here. There's no like what are like there's gangs here in New York. They have graffiti all over the place, but like there's no community network or the police involved in helping us out as citizens, saying, here's, like, these are tags, if you see these, this is what we need to know, or, like, this is what it could mean, stay away from there. None of that since I was a teenager. They haven't had that level of nationally secured information available for the local civilians or citizens. And there's no, like, I don't know, there's just star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.